Hello summoners and welcome to another episode of FEHology, the study of Fire Emblem Heroes. My name is Joel and I'm here to bring you something a little bit special today. Just remember, 2-year-olds never lie.
I save it as buses!
Summoners, armors are back, and we're not just talking about Edelgard and Hector here. Remember the days of Surtur, when you had to bring an armor-effective weapon on offense or you were a dead team walking. Then IS panicked and nerfed Aether-Raid's armors to Kingdom Come. These new skills are bringing them back into relevance. Remember when soaking chills was a problem? Hello, Slick Fighter. Now we have a new one. Here's the gist of the savior skills. An armor will swoop in and take the hit for one of your other units and gain stats if they have this C skill. Near is obviously melee, far is ranged. The unit must be within 2 spaces of your savior unit. What this means is your armors can specialize. No more wasting the A slot on counter skills. They can also be immediately adjacent to another unit. Bond skills are good again. And this is yet another C skill that provides stats. The save skill we're talking about here gives you attack and res, but obviously there are more of these to come. I'm going to focus on Far Saver more in this video because I think it has more applications in AR offense. Keep in mind quite a few teams employ one melee unit and fill out the rest of the roster with ranged units. This means you can utilize a melee support that only has to counter one other melee unit. In practical terms, that means your New Year's Valoria, your Brave Lucina, your Male Corrin only have to defeat one unit and can devote all of their other resources to support and buffing your carry. The true power of savior skills is the increased range. I think that is the biggest weakness of any armors, short of all the armor effective weapons, but we'll talk about those a little more. In this case, you have New Year's Valoria set up to counter Resplendent Illialidur, who's the most common physical damage dealing threat that we have. Henrietta is stat stacked to take on any and all ranged opponents, and of course you have as many mythics as you can possibly get on there for their extra stats and whatever bonuses they offer. Quick props to Conquest and the Discord server for bringing this to my attention that Henrietta was so good. At the time, I was trying to build Sophia, and it wasn't going well. I'm going to showcase 2 examples of where this setup really shines. Our first example up is a cav line, and these are everywhere right now. My actual goal with the Sophia build was to get some kind of counter that made these basically trivial. I can't say Henriette does that, but she does come fairly close. Now, this is a pretty invested one, and you can see right off the bat, of course, we have all sorts of rally shenanigans, which happens, but what I'm looking at first is this Bramamond coming in. Now, this is an impact Bramamond. This is a problem for this type of unit. Obviously, he does 0 damage, so that's good, but any time that a unit stays alive, that is a win for the defense. Especially like this when they're charging up their special. Here we have Legendary Leaf. You can see this unit doesn't have a whole lot of merges, but Henriette still takes very little damage. Next up we have Reinhardt himself. Oh, summoners, this made me so happy. I'll have you know, this is a pretty bad Reinhardt. I actually put this up against one that had ARD attack res, and Henriette still took that unit down. Now, New Year's Valoria's special acceleration really comes in clutch, and what that means is special inhibitors like Guard or Melancholy can be problematic. It doesn't mean that it stops the team, but it's something that you've got to watch out for. Now, once the heavy hitters are taken down, generally cleanup is pretty easy with this team composition because once again, your weaker support units can't get sniped. One other thing I need to mention is the Flash Plus staff, and I've seen a lot of these lately. What Henriette allows you to do is select lanes. And so, if they have a Flash Plus staff, or any other unit that Henriette just can't handle, just don't put another unit in that lane. It's fantastic. Obviously, there are restore trap shenanigans that can go on. but by and large you can choose what unit Henriette is going to try and counter. What makes Cavline so effective is the forced engagement on turn 1 that keeps you from being able to set up your units the way you would like to avoid unfavorable matchups. With Farsaver, we're turning that on its head and basically saying any ranged cavalry unit cannot stand against this Henriette. Now, obviously, we're probably going to see more nukes that have even more power. I have not tested this unit against Duo Leaf, and that unit hits like a truck. But this is still a very effective counter to a defense that is just a menace in the Aether Raids community right now. At this point, I wanted to test this team against something a little different. And this is one of the many defensive schemes that employs Illialidur as the sole melee threat. If you haven't encountered the T, the idea is that Illialidur rallies and then gets danced to take on whatever cavalry unit you have placed. You'll see in this one the AI gets a little flummoxed and doesn't do that, but you can see how the defensive scheme fails fairly quickly. Right off the bat, you're going to notice a very tight formation, and this is very different from the way you would normally set up your offense. This allows you to use bond skills, it lets you stack more drives, but it's also susceptible to things like Savage Blow, panics, and any area of effect debuffs. It's also important to remember to set your support unit out front to bait any ranged unit so you get the extra savior stats. So you can tell right off the bat this rally system with Illialidur didn't go quite as planned, but the first matchup with Bramamon goes very well with Henriette, and without impact, he just gets demolished. Next up, we have Legendary Leaf with Deadeye. Now this is just a +1 Legendary Leaf, but still, that is none, zero, nothing worth of damage. It's very nice to see. From there, I mean, Byleth does nothing. I mean, summoners, this is kind of incredible. I know these aren't a lot of merges, but still, this unit is just soaking up all of this damage. From there, you just have cleanup. It's worth noting here that Illialidur loses this matchup and does 0 damage. It's not a +10 Illialidur, but still, you're seeing how effective this team can be. Now, you need to be wary of a few things. Melee mythics, particularly Hell and Ceros, can both be a problem. They can hit pretty hard, and if you're set up for something like Illialidur, this New Year's Valoria is going to have issues with Hell. Multiple melee threats take special positioning. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I have worked on it, and I even got against a team that had 2 different Resplendent Illialidurs and managed to come out with a win. But it isn't as brain dead as this looks right here. The big point though is this tactic can cover a wide range of teams because basically you copy this same formation, this same template, and just stick it against any defense. It's fairly impressive. I have done a ton of sims and a ton of mock battles with friends, and I have to say I am fairly impressed. It's not unbeatable, but it is a wonderful tool to have in your chest. Special thanks to Howdy from the Discord for offering up his AR defense for this demonstration. As always, I appreciate you guys in the Discord so much. Alright, summoners, listen, we've talked a ton about the amazing things involved in this setup, but let's be real. Armor effective weapons exist, and there are a ton of them. So your first question should be, why am I not worried about these? The answer is, most of the teams that this will be matched up against include ranged cavalry units as their heavy hitters. Ranged cavalry units don't really have good armor effective weapons. It's fantastic, right? So there will definitely be teams that this will not work against. For instance, that T, if they happen to have used Bridal Micaiah as their duo unit, then I'm picking another team, just flat out. The other thing, and we talked about this during the videos, impacts are not great. Anytime that a unit stays alive, it's not good for your offense. Null follow-up is also a big deal because of the nature of the stat stacking in these units. Generally, those armors are going to have low speeds. That means that null follow-up keeps that unit alive. The other thing you're going to want to be wary of is the support unit is the weakest link. This is the unit that you are designing to basically take out one other unit on your map. Area of effect weapons, when they trigger, can weaken that unit and make your matchups not as good. Don't forget the savior skills don't trigger until after area of effect specials. That means they can lower the HP of your support unit and create bad matchups. The last thing is to watch out for units that your support just flat loses to. The perfect example here is Harmonized Veronica versus New Year's Valoria. New Year's Valoria is going to lose that matchup every time. Honestly, I don't care how many merges that Harmonized Veronica has. It's not gonna go well for you. All in all, this is a great team composition that can be easily copied over into either Astra or Light, and it's fairly powerful against some very common defenses. The next question you should be asking yourself is, well, that's fantastic. What other units can I do this with? Because I don't have New Year's Valoria. Because honestly, a lot of people don't. And we can look at a couple different units here. And obviously, we have to talk about Brave Hector, right? But really what we're doing is making an excellent unit just slightly better. I mean, the AR save skill can give him extra stats and allow Male Corrin to be one space closer. So that's +1 to all stats. And that's not insignificant. But if you have a Brave Hector, he's probably winning most of the matchups for you. This is a slight bump in his performance, not a huge bump, and that's premium fodder to do that. But we have to mention him. Now, the one I really liked here is this Winter Cecilia, and the reason is a lot of people have Winter Cecilia already built up. Plus, Brave Lucina pairs well with her, and a lot of people have Brave Lucina. So this is a pairing that you can take and add this one piece of fodder, and it will perform about as well as what you've seen in this video. I've simmed it, trust me. Now, there are a couple of premium versions you can look at. The Lion King himself is a lot of fun to put in this scenario. I'm not sure he's actually the best to do it, but you can think of a Lion King New Year's Valoria combination, and it's interesting. A couple honorable mentions here. We have Springathune, but she suffers from the same problem as Brave Hector. If you've got a Springathune already built up, this only makes her marginally better. But if you think of Valentine Faye with 38 res, she does this setup really well, and there are so many good inheritable bows that she can use. Also, Valentine Alphonse does this setup pretty well, and essentially offers you different color advantages as opposed to Henriette. So, units to keep in mind. Alright, summoners, I've got a couple conclusions for you. Savior skills fill a hole created by the new AR defenses designed to apply pressure early and allow little to no setup. They definitely have their weaknesses: NFU, area of effect weapons, impact weapons, and the big one, armor effective weapons. But they work pretty well against cav lines and the T. These types of teams utilize fewer armor effective weapons than other defenses because their composition is so cavalry heavy. Also, I've seen a lot about how they've just broken the game with these new skills, but I wanted to remind you about a very important message from Zane, the founder and CEO of the Busted Units Club. Every unit is busted for the 2 weeks between their trailer and the time they actually see use in the game. And with that, if you liked the episode, leave a comment or subscribe. We have lots of fun stuff coming. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can do so through our subreddit at r/FEHology. You can email the show directly at FEHology@gmail.com. If you'd like to chat, you can join the research and development server or direct message us on Discord. Our tags are in the show notes. Remember, you can send your voice messages through Anchor at anchor.fm/FEHology/message. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so through anchor.fm/FEHology for as little as $1 a month. Hope you have a wonderful day and schedule an appointment with your Fehologist real soon. Take care.